7's only got 2 bars. Also, number 4.
quer tomar nada. Todo mundo na sabura, na festa aquele que de nós. Mas nessa quero 30, fazer fitinha pra onde me quer tomar nada. Grande hoje me quer tempo de era estás acima pero na chu. Erro que vedi mansinho cima roto que aquele que quer nada comigo. Grande hoje me quer tempo de era estás acima pero na chu. Erro que vedi mansinho cima roto que ele que quer nada comigo. Rapariguinha se cossi, foi nisso por na bandola. Subi com o telo com dira pas casa de chicosa na chonti ganha mais de arrasta. Rapariguinha se cossi, tramite por na bandola. Subi com o telo com dira pas casa de chicosa na chonti ganha mais de arrasta. Todo mundo na sabura, sabura, sabura. Todo mundo na sabura, sabura, sabura. Todo mundo na sabura, sabura, sabura. Todo mundo na sabura, sabura, sabura.
We're about to kick off. If you want to grab a drink and take a seat.
To me, BHP Xplor is a huge opportunity.
To me, BHP Xplor has been truly impressive.
Eye-opening, illuminating.
Paradigm shift. There's two words though.
Is a new exploration language, way of unlocking the future.
It's a different way for us to think about how we grow as an industry. Really lets us supercharge what we want to do in our exploration projects. Xplor is the future of exploration.
Xplor is refreshing, it is amazing.
Collaboration.
Opportunity. Discovery.
Xplor is fun. Xplor is revolutionary.
Xplor is a little bit of magic.
To me, BHP Xplor is the future of the mining industry.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the 2024 BHP Xplor Showcase event. It's truly amazing to see so many faces here with us in the audience today, here at the ROM in Toronto. Thank you all for taking time out of your Monday afternoons to join us for this event. We also have hundreds of people streaming virtually via our live stream, and I want to recognize all of you that are online joining us as well. We're very much excited to have all of you wonderful people here to share in the Xplor journey today. My name is Charlie Johnson, and I'm the head of BHP Xplor. And I know that I speak on behalf of the entire Xplor team when I say that we're so excited for you to be here. This showcase event is just that. We're here to showcase the wonderful thing that is BHP Xplor and our 2024 cohort. For the past 6 months, the Xplor team has had the true privilege of working shoulder to shoulder with some of the brightest minds in minerals exploration. These minds make up our select 6 cohort companies that we're here to showcase today. And today, you will each get a sneak peek into each and every one of them. This is also a celebration for us. We're at the finish line of the Xplor program that's run the last 6 months. And we're also wrapping up our second year of Xplor. On the Xplor team, we know that Xplor has had a big impact on BHP. Our participating companies have also told us that it's had a big impact on them. And our belief is that Xplor can have a big impact on this industry and leave a lasting legacy. So again, we're excited to share this with you today and learn more about Xplor. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the land that we're meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 of the Mississaugas of the Credit. And now for the main event. We have a great program lined up for you today to showcase both Xplor and our 2024 cohort. First up, in a few minutes, we'll welcome our fearless leader, Sonia Scarselli. Sonia is the Vice President of BHP's Exploration and Xplor teams, and she will join the stage shortly to share some highlights on the Xplor program and our journey to date. Following Sonia, we'll welcome the true stars of the show, our 2024 cohort companies. Each company will take the stage for a short presentation to share with you a brief overview of their exploration opportunities, their teams, and their experiences through Xplor. And to wrap up the program, we'll have a dynamic panel discussion featuring industry experts. The panel will dive into topics on the global search for the critical minerals of the future and discuss the crucial role that innovative programs like Xplor have in unlocking the resources of tomorrow. The afternoon doesn't end after the presentations, though, and we welcome you to stick around for the networking event. We have the room next door set up with food and drinks, and each one of our cohort companies has a booth, so we encourage you to go meet with them, learn more about them directly, and of course, meet with the Xplor team as well. So without further ado, let's get this started. Before Dr. Scarselli joins the stage, we're going to have a quick video to give you a glimpse into Xplor.
In a world racing to meet the growing demand for critical minerals, a new era of exploration has begun. In 2023, BHP launched Xplor, a global accelerator purpose-built to empower innovative, early-stage junior exploration companies to uncover the discoveries our world desperately needs. Now, in 2024, a new cohort of 6 companies from around the globe have embarked on their Explorer journey.
The first year has been extremely successful. We got very positive feedback from the companies in the program, from the market, and from BHP. This year we've been able to bring in very strong geographic diversity with exposure to multiple countries.
The great applicants come here with a strong desire to learn personally.
In our first year, we received 250 applications. In our second year, we doubled that. So we have 6 amazing companies in our cohort this year across 3 different countries. We have Peter and Clay from Hamlin Gold, Rob and Helen from Longreach Minerals, Alex and Chris from Eastar Resources, Simon and Daniel from Palace Resources, Joanna and Erlin from Equivest Metals, Adam and Thomas from Cobre.
We have a really intentional journey for each of the cohorts through Xplor. We've very much tried to build not just a program, but an experience that is designed and tailored to each of the cohorts so we can add and deliver as much value as possible.
The 6-month Xplor program is designed to enhance the cohort's business, technical, and operational readiness. This journey started in Toronto with Bootcamp, an immersive week of workshops, masterclasses, and guest speakers. Up next was Toolkit Camp, held following PDAC, where the cohort was able to meet with hand-selected critical service providers and learn from industry experts. Site visits are another key in-person aspect of the program, where the Xplor team visited select cohorts' home countries to gain a better understanding of their operational environment and technical activities. The always-on or normal programming rounded out the Xplor curriculum. This included regular virtual touchpoints, one-on-one business and technical coaching, learning, and community catch-ups. All this learning, workshopping, and building has led us to today, Showcase.
From originally joining the program to where we are now, we have definitely revisited our strategy with the view of figuring out where there are gaps and how we can fill those gaps to kind of strengthen what we're doing as explorers and as business people.
What we've done is adjust our strategy, which is the one we're really excited about, is taking a step back and looking at it from a mineral systems approach.
BHP have been very open and very generous with their time and their people, and we truly do believe that that partnership part of the equation is the most important.
This BHP grant has allowed us to develop a portfolio of properties, whereas before we were a single asset company, and I think the tools we've been given at Toolkit have certainly provided us with the knowledge to scale our business and make ourselves more investable by the majors.
I think the biggest change for us was when we started the program, we were 2 people. Now we're 6.
The BHP Xplor program has given us opportunities to grow this business and to become a substantial mineral exploration and mining company.
The stakes are incredibly high. We are going to need more copper in the next 30 years than has been mined to date.
Xplor comes along at a time when juniors with ideas are meeting this roadblock of not being able to be funded.
Greenfields exploration just isn't getting the kind of attention that it needs. It's really difficult to do early stage exploration, particularly in the current market.
Generally, as an industry, we need to start applying better processes and better technology as well, and using the data to start moving that success rate to a better level than it is today.
It needs to be more collaborative to keep the junior sector buoyant and active, and for the sake of unlocking these world's metals and resources that we need.
These are the bright minds and the bright ideas that we need to tap into to solve this problem.
The growth challenge that lies ahead of us, and I'm not just talking about BHP, of course, I'm talking about the industry as a whole, is pretty enormous. I believe that Xplor is changing the way of thinking and helping us to be better as an exploration industry.
Good afternoon to everyone. I am Sonia Scarselli, the Vice President of BHP Xplor and BHP Exploration. I'm really delighted to welcome so many of you here in person and online, coming to celebrate with us the closure and the accomplishment of Xplor 2024 and the 6 amazing companies that have been part of the program in the past 6 months. Many of you, I know, are here because they want to hear more about the Xplor program. Others are really interested to know more about the 6 companies and what they've done in the 6 months. And many just here with us to celebrate this amazing milestone. So today we're going to take you through our journey, what we have accomplished, and the incredible results that we have at the end of the program, and the 6 companies a part of it. Now, before I leave the stage to our 6 stars here with us, I actually like just to share some personal reflection of the journey that we had, not just the past 6 months, but Xplor on the whole. I just would like to share with you why Xplor, how did we get here, and what next. So Xplor, it was an idea on a piece of paper not far long ago, just 2 years ago. And that idea on the piece of paper came with the intent to think, how can we unlock and untap the brightest talent and the most passionate explorers around the world, bring their ideas to fruition and to life, and work with them to find the next big exploration discoveries. They can really solve the problem that we are facing as a society, finding the supply for the energy transition. We are all aware about traditional exploration, but often we are not really tapping and listening to the early stage companies. We are not exposed to them. We just don't know about them. And so the concept of Xplor was to really open up our doors to actually inviting and welcoming this brightest mind, especially in those areas that we didn't have much experience and knowledge. And then how to do that. So that's when the idea of the accelerator business model came to mind. We didn't just want to work with them. We wanted to support them. We wanted to build a strong partnership, a strong relationship that could last the years to come. Companies that will want to work with us because they believe in us and they will want to bring their ideas to us. And the idea of the accelerator was a very interesting one. It's not new. It's new in the mining industry, but it's certainly not new in other industries. Pharmaceutical companies do that. The tech industry does that very well. So we use that concept to build a program completely refitted and tailored to mineral exploration. And so that was the inception, and we believed at the beginning, even though we didn't know if it was going to be successful, we really believed on it. We believed that actually we could have got enough company to come through, and we would have provided them a value for them. So that's how Xplor Cohort 1, Xplor 1 2023 started. We built this amazing program of 6 months. They had multiple aspects to it. It wasn't just financing. That was really the smallest element of the program. We provided support on technical, on business, operational readiness. We connected the companies in the program in a very structured way to the ecosystem, where there were the vendors, the BHP had the privilege to work with, as well as the best mind in academia and researcher. So we brought all of that in for the companies to create a value for them. We ran the first Xplor 1 in 2023, and we had 7 companies, and there is something that I really like when they talk about Xplor, they always talk about as a BHP mini MBA, because it is a little bit of a mini MBA. It's a very strong curriculum, and the intent is not just to support these companies and work with them and find new exploration ideas, but is to accelerate those ideas. Because ultimately, what we want is to find the next big discovery. That's what any exploration wants to do. And so with the result of Xplor 2023, we were really excited of the outcome. We progressed investment in many of the companies, but moreover, we maintain a very strong relationship with all the members of cohort 2023, because for us it's a true partnership, and some of them are here today. Fabian, Sam, thanks for joining. And we want to maintain the relationship going forward beyond the program itself. So we listened their feedback, we incorporated in Xplor 2024, and last summer we launched Xplor 2024, which is better than ever. Really excited about that. And we had over 550 applications in the program. It's a massive response from the market and interest. And we selected the 6 best companies on those applications that you're going to hear from them today. You're going to see their exciting opportunities. So with that, my other big piece from Xplor that it wasn't really part of the program, but it came as a consequence. It was the role that Xplor built and created to create this community of experts, of explorationists, that they were all looking at the same intent. So together with the business that we work with, we also created a partnership, a friendship, networking, and that stays way beyond the Xplor program, way beyond the 6 months that we spend together, and not just between BHP and the cohort companies, but also amongst the cohort companies. They build friendship that will last, a support system for themselves, and how they can be successful on their career going forward. Now, today, I'm absolutely really excited to see all the learning of the 6 companies and how they have applied those learning to their activities, and ultimately hearing in the next couple of years of the big discoveries they're making, because that's what we want at the end of the day. Now, on a personal note, Xplor means a lot to me, but the things that Xplor gave me the most is the learning opportunity. When I went into it, I went into it with the business desire, the success component to achieve an outcome. But what's really been successful for me is what I learned from each of the members, a part of both cohort 1 and cohort 2. Each of the members brought in their talents, their ideas, their ways of working, their ways of thinking and solving problems, their passion. They are so passionate about their ideas and what they're doing. To be an explorationist, you have to be passionate. You have to be passionate to raise the capital to do your work. You have to be passionate and believe that you're going to make a discovery. It's a true passion that you don't see anywhere else. And that has been such a great learning for me that I take with myself. And so what I really wanted to say to all of you, it's been a privilege for me to have you on our program and for you to trust us and bring your ideas, your concepts, your babies to us. So thank you, and really thank you, because we will not be here without you. Now, what's next? I'm looking forward to hear all your feedback and incorporate on the next round of Xplor. And we will launch at the end of the summer Xplor 3, which is going to be even better, and maybe a little bit spice it up with some new concepts and some new ideas to bring in even more application. I'm really excited to that. So watch the space, stay tuned, more to come in the next few weeks. Now, I want to leave you with just one quote that actually I used at the end of Showcase in 2023, last year, a year ago. And the quote says, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And I really stand by it today again. And I do believe that what Xplor has done has been creating the future, not just for us, but for us and the companies that have been part of it. And is a true relationship, is a true partnership, is doing something together. So with that, I like to hear back from the 6 companies and welcome Charlie back on stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. For anyone that knows Sonia, you know that she's a force of nature. She's the true visionary behind BHP Xplor and the motivation that pushes this team to keep pushing the limits on what's possible. Her aim is set high on creating the future, on industry breakthroughs, and that's what Xplor is all about. So now that you know a little bit more about Xplor, we're going to shift the focus to our 6 companies that brought Xplor to life this year, our 2024 cohort. The Select 6 is a special group. Each one of them was carefully selected from a pool of over 500 applicants. Working alongside this group over the last 6 months has been an absolute privilege. They inspire us with their new, innovative ideas for discoveries. Each have amazing teams behind them, and they're ready to hit the ground to explore. The Xplor program over the last 6 months is very much a meeting of the minds. On the BHP team side, we learn as much from these companies as we intend for them to learn from us. They've brought new ideas, challenges, and experiences to the table, and it's really this cohort that has sparked the magic in this year's Xplor program. Today, we're very excited to share that magic with you all, and we'll be welcoming up each one of the CEOs to the stage to share their stories. So please join me in welcoming each one of the CEOs. First up, we have Alex Walker, CEO of eStar Resources. Welcome to the stage, Alex.
In early 2021, it was a hot summer's day in Fremantle, Western Australia, and I was watching my 2-year-old daughter play on the floor with her 6-month-old baby brother. And I looked up at my nurturing wife and I said, "Hun, I think we should move to Kazakhstan." Well, we've been living in Almaty for 3 years now, and so I figure that if I can convince my wife, then for this audience of intrepid explorers hungry for the next Tier 1 copper discovery, this should be a no-brainer. So here we go. Kazakhstan is like Western Australia, but in the 1970s. The size of the 2 jurisdictions is almost exactly the same. The mineral code in Kazakhstan was modelled on Western Australia's, and both have an economy built off the back of natural resource production. And it's exactly that gives the population a real appreciation of how our industry can help to build communities, which is evidenced when you spend time in those communities with the local landholders and the local mayors. In Shemanaika, for example, I had a really proud tour of their local museum, which is almost entirely focused on the history of mining, dating back to 1749, which is 144 years before gold was discovered in Kalgoorlie. It takes 1/3 of the amount of time to transport goods from China to Europe through Kazakhstan than it does by sea, which makes it the beating heart of the One Belt, One Road initiative. From a geological perspective, those roads go directly past the supergiant deposits of Jezkazgan and the Actigide Porphyry cluster, which is in the lowest quartile of production costs globally. It is extremely difficult to find such an array of not just commercial, but giant and supergiant deposit types in any one jurisdiction, especially one which has the political will and the framework to match. So, my wife said yes, and we got stuck in. We moved to Almaty in August of 2021, which was during the start of our first drill campaign. At first, understanding the systems and the culture took time, and it definitely took the right team. We now have staff in Aktau, Almaty, Astana and Semi, literally the 4 corners of the country. And we've operated from heli-borne EM to drone mag, RC and diamond drilling over a similar reach. Taking the time to build a team of people that had a similar ethos and drive to me has paid off in spades. It's allowed us to develop a culture that ensures we can easily navigate what can be an often complex and evolving system. So fast forward to the start of 2024, we were operating well. You know, we had good projects, we had a good team, we had a great culture. But it still felt like we were missing something. We needed to figure out how to differentiate ourselves further. We needed to figure out how to win. Enter BHP Xplor. Our how to win now entails a comprehensive, diversified copper-focused exploration strategy, incorporating both brownfields resources and greenfields tier 1 deposit potential. The first is infrastructure-led VMS exploration in the Rudny-Altai belt, where in March this year we announced our maiden JORC resource of 20 million tonnes at about 1.2% copper, which was about $4 per tonne in discovery cost. We're doing the detailed mapping and lithogeochemical work to further a lot more targets in that region, and we're really excited to be drilling a number of those later on this year. The second part of the strategy is for porphyry exploration in a belt that's expected to contain an undiscovered 22 million tonnes of copper. We've been using BHP's Mineral Systems Framework, and we've conducted plate tectonic and kinematic reconstructions and done satellite spectral imagery to prioritise targets over an area that's more than 200,000 square kilometres. We're waiting on the results of soil sampling on our first 2 licences, and we really hope to be applying for a number of other licences in the not too distant future. The third part of the strategy is for sediment-hosted exploration in one of the world's largest fertile basins, where the opportunity to literally peg the entire basin still very much exists, at least for the time being. But eStar is not just participating in Kazakhstan's exploration revolution. We're actually helping shape it. We were the very first member of the Kazakhstan Chamber of Mines, and I'm still a member of the advisory board today. Since inception 12 months ago, the Chamber's attracted 43 local and international members, and we've been invited to consult on tax policy and subsoil law directly with the relevant ministries. eStar's hard-won local knowledge and experience gives us a genuine operating advantage, allowing us to take investors' money and spend it wisely, efficiently, in the ground. Prior to Xplor, we were a small company with a great culture and achievable goals. Our aspirations have grown significantly, but with our VMS experience and with a new toolkit, thanks to Xplor, we can now expand. Bigger team, bigger targets, for a bigger and better outcome for all stakeholders. So, this is my invitation to you. If you are a potential partner or investor, now is the time. Now is the time to come and join us in Kazakhstan. Now is the time to come and join us on our journey. Because once-in-a-lifetime opportunities don't stay that way for very long. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex, and to you and Chris both, thank you for introducing the Xplor team to Kazakhstan. Alex and Chris, as you can see, are local experts, and it's been an incredible opportunity to learn about the country and the very prospective future of exploration and mining in the region. Next up, I'd like to introduce Peter Buick, CEO of Hamlin Gold. Peter, welcome to the stage.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Let's start with a question. What is in a name? Hamlin Gold. I'll start with a story about a fellow by the name of Jacques Hamlin. He was a French explorer who some 200 years ago was sent out to one of the frontiers of the world with a blank sheet of paper to map and explore the great southern land. After 3 trying, difficult years and some amazing discoveries, he writes back to head office and says, Australia's a tough place and there's not much there for us. Well, maybe if he'd taken a few less botanists on that boat and thrown a couple of geos in the back, he may have had a different picture and may have seen the great mineral wealth that we now see in Australia. Like the Hamlin of old, Hamlin Gold is a pioneer. We go out to the frontiers with our blank sheet of paper to leave our legacy of discovery. And some of you might be asking, what the heck is a gold company doing in a BHP event? Now, we are in the right place. I didn't crash the party. Hamlin Gold has expertise in exploring in undercover terrains. We've been working in these terrains for many years. These terrains are where we believe the world will find the next suite of Tier 1 opportunities. We've been working in these terrains for many years. We've built up a broad understanding of many deposit types, and including copper, gold, nickel. And we've also built up a toolkit that allows us to explore more efficiently and effectively in undercover terrains. And this toolkit is not just applicable to gold. It's applicable to the broad range of commodities, including critical minerals. I am very, very blessed to have a team that absolutely love what they do. Two of my team members here, Clayton Davies, my exploration manager, and one of my young geologists, Flynn Cameron. And Clay's the reason why we're here today. He was looking after a drill program when he made the decision to cut that program short, to take those meters to go and test a discrete but really peculiar magnetic anomaly buried under the sands of the Tanami Desert. And with 3 short holes, Clay intersected a mafic, ultramafic intrusion that contained nickel, copper, and PGE sulfides. Now, this was not expected. This has never been recorded in the Tanami, and the Tanami is a huge geological province, spreads over some 400 strike kilometres. But Clay knew what it was, and he knew what it meant. So this is what we brought to explore. The technical work over the last 6 months has been not only trying to understand this occurrence, but how it fits into the broad regional context, and with the view of looking through the mineral systems framework. And those results have been fantastic. We've been illuminated by what we've seen, and we're super excited by what the next phase of exploration will bring. But it hasn't been all about the technical stuff. As mentioned, this is all about business readiness as well, and operational readiness. And in the business readiness side of things, we've been looking very hard at our strategy. The 2 key pillars of the strategy, or cornerstones for me, are the where to play and the how to win. Where, for us, it's undercover. It's where we've got our toolkit, our experience, and our skills, where we're comfortable operating undercover. And this is not the same for every company. So I really see this as a competitive advantage for Hamlin Gold. Secondly, it's about how to win. How, for me, is about our capabilities. We have shown over many years we can explore both safely and respectfully in some of the most remote parts of the planet. And it's important that these two together, our skills and our capabilities, are what come together that really enhances and empowers us to succeed. So for those of you who never go to the Tanami, don't worry about it. This is what it looks like. Thousands and thousands of square kilometres. This is our playground. This is our sandpit. This is a difficult place to operate, both from a technical point of view and operationally. But with those challenges comes really creativity. And that's one thing I love about our industry. We are a creative lot, and we work in a very dynamic industry. And this is my proud dad moment. I've got 3 kids who've all decided, actually I've got 4, don't forget the 4th. I've got 3. I've got 3 that decided to start their careers in the mining industry. When this gets played back, I'm going to get cut here. They've got, to them, this industry is amazing. You'll have great opportunities to grow both professionally and as individuals. And I really look forward to how their careers go and how they develop over time. So if this is your cup of tea, I'd say come and join us. This is an opportunity that you can make your opportunity. We are on the cusp of opening up a new mineral province, and we believe this is where the world will find its next Tier 1s, and we invite you to come and join us on that journey to find the metals the world so needs for a better tomorrow. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Peter. The Xplor team had the privilege of visiting Peter and Clay in Perth this year, and we got to meet the wider Hamlin team as well. They not only opened their doors to their company, but also their core shed. And we so much appreciate getting to meet the broader group and for you bringing some of those deep insights in exploring undercover into our program this year. So next, I would like to introduce Simon Cooper, CEO of Palace Resources. Simon, welcome to the stage.
We're sitting in this room today because as an industry, we recognise we've got a problem. We're not getting out there and making the major discoveries of tomorrow because for the most part, we haven't genuinely been committed to just getting out there and finding them. We built Palace to help try and change that narrative. We wanted to bring a renewed hunger and passion and drive to early stage exploration, and we wanted to do things differently, tackling parts of the world that others weren't, really intentionally focusing on early stage generative opportunities and leveraging big data in our targeting and our decision making. So with that in mind, really keen to introduce you to Palace, our business, and some more of these vast and beautiful landscapes that we get to operate in within Kazakhstan. As a founding team, we've lived, we've worked, we've explored across Central Asia, and it's always been abundantly clear to us that it's a part of the world that's ripe for discovery. All of our projects are located within Kazakhstan, the absolute crown jewel of the region, and somewhere that we as a team genuinely believe has the potential to unearth multiple major new discoveries, hopefully for us, in the not too distant future. The Soviets here have carried out a phenomenal amount of reconnaissance work up until around the 1970s, when all of that largely came to a grinding halt. So you've got a part of the world that's hugely prospective, that hasn't really had any modern exploration carried out for the better part of 50 years. One of the core tenets of our business, something that's ingrained within our DNA, is leveraging big data to go after big opportunities. We have painstakingly, and I mean painstakingly, built a massive war chest of data that now covers the entirety of Kazakhstan, just a big country. We've used that data obviously to underpin and build out our portfolio. Some parts of the world are blessed with publicly available, pre-competitive data that's accessible to all. For us, we have our own private treasure trove of IP that gives a real edge in targeting. Again, built a very large portfolio within Kazakhstan. We are now one of the largest landholders in the country with a very heavy weighting towards copper. So we're hunting big sediment-hosted and porphyry copper systems alongside magmatic copper nickel sulfides. But where does Xplor fit into all of that? Well, across what's been a pretty rapid and whirlwind 6 months, we've revisited a few things. And I think, coming into this, BHP's motto as we sort of came into this is, think big. And really at the crux of it, that's what Xplor has been to us. We've revisited big picture targeting using the mineral systems framework, not just across a single project, but our entire portfolio. We've continued to go big on our data sets, so investing in additional layers and resolution at a truly regional scale. And we've also got a much bigger team now than what we did when we first started the program. I think it's fair to say that exploration is nothing without good people. Wrapping up my short time up here on the stage, I want to kind of come back to this core tenet for us as a business, which is that, we are going after big opportunities enabled by our big data sets. Having the privilege to sit in the team with not just the BHP team, not just the Xplor team, but also the cohort, has really challenged us to contemplate how do we do that bigger and better. And I think the beauty of the program for us is that not only do we walk away as more well-rounded explorers, I'm hopeful that we've also got a much stronger footing to be one of those groups that's at the forefront of making the major discoveries of tomorrow. Really keen to catch up with a few of you in this room afterwards. For those watching online, if you're interested in getting in touch, please feel free to drop us a note through the website. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Simon. As you can see, Simon and Daniel are our second team that are pioneering exploration in Kazakhstan. We thank you both as well for introducing us to the country, and we're excited to see how you continue to lead on the edge of big data and see where those big opportunities are driven from. So now I'd like to introduce you to Rob Bills, CEO of Long Reach Minerals. Rob, welcome to the stage.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Charlie, for the introduction. Today, I'd like to talk to you about Long Reach Minerals. My talk is really about developing and executing a winning strategy. A strategy that makes a step change in discovering Tier 1 mineral deposits. A strategy that leverages Longreach's petroleum DNA into the mineral systems. The roots of this strategy comes from Norway, the home of a very successful petroleum business and the home of our founding directors. Not to mention the Arctic bike race. So I suggest you take a sip of the Xplor Kool-Aid and come on this journey with me. Petroleum, as you know, has an order of magnitude higher rate of discovery than the minerals industry. And Longreach Minerals is uniquely positioned to capitalise on this pool. I've gone one slide too far there, I think. Oh, no, okay. Sorry about that. Can I go back with this one? Yeah, sorry. Longreach Minerals is uniquely positioned to capitalise on a pool of very clever, soft and hard rock geoscientists, data specialists and programmers, all working across the energy transition. Our group have pioneered some pretty cool tools, such as GeoClerk, which is an AI machine learning search tool that allows you to process large amounts of data and turn it into knowledge. It's about seismic, which allows you to also pull up seismic from all around the world and incorporate it into your minerals systems. During my career, I've had the privilege of working across lots of parts of the minerals business, and certainly never before have worked with such a talented team of people in the Longreach group of companies. My colleague Helen is here today and is part of this multidisciplinary team. Our East Canning project in northern Western Australia is an example of where the rubber hits the road, where seismic has been instrumental in constraining the big picture geodynamic setting at a very early stage of exploration. In this project, we have reprocessed the seismic and analysed the petroleum wells to reveal the fundamental architecture of the basin, reflected in the copper occurrences found beneath the inverted trap site in the Lake Haverne well. We've been able to reduce the uncertainty through answering many of those fundamental mineral systems questions early in our exploration, something not possible with other data sets such as potential field and geophysical techniques. A great predictor of Tier 1 mineral deposits comes from the contours in the lithosphere-asthenosphere boundary, where clustering of Tier 1 deposits around the 160 to 170 kilometre contour predicts where the next Tier 1 discovery will be. You can see here on the eastern side that we've got major Tier 1 deposits such as Mount Isa, Cannington, Ernest Henry, but nothing on the western side, and that's where our great potential discovery will occur at East Canning. The sea-based data supports the seismic in highlighting what a unique geodynamic setting the East Canning project is, as it occurs at a pronounced triple junction, where the uplifted Crosslands platform intersects the north-south Lassiter shear zone. In conclusion, arresting the low rates of Tier 1 discovery starts with a winning strategy. At Longreach, we are leveraging our petroleum DNA into a mineral systems and specifically utilising seismic at an early stage to better constrain the big picture setting. But it is more than this. It is harnessing the power of this small, nimble, multidisciplinary team. Discoveries are us. Finally, I want to make a prediction, a big call on the impact of Xplor to our industry. Those of you who are as old as me in the audience will probably remember Western Mining Corporation. Western Mining was one of the companies that probably made the most Tier 1 discoveries in its day. It was led by a visionary called Roy Woodall, and it was driven by a scheme that applied to all the geoscientists who could apply for study leave and further their studies. I believe we'll look back at Xplor and which will have a similar impact and recognise the true innovation that BHP and the Xplor team have made. So thank you for taking the time to listen to this, and please join us on our booth.
Thanks, Rob. Rob and Helen were also wonderful hosts to us and the Xplor team in Perth this year. They introduced us to the broader Long Reach Capital Group, and for me, having spent many years in the petroleum industry, it's truly exciting to see how Rob and Helen and the Long Reach team are integrating the petroleum technology into minerals exploration. They're an exciting group, and we've truly enjoyed working with you both. Next to the stage, I'd like to welcome Joanna Panica, CEO of Equivest. Welcome, Joanna.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited to introduce to you Equivest. I guess there is not a person in this room that does not want to see higher mineral exploration success rates. In Equivest, our mission is to significantly improve them. Apologies, the slides. Need to coordinate the screens. That was not a great start. Okay. Apologies. It actually happens almost every time. The last 3 presentations, the clicker just goes wrong. Over the last few years, we have looked at over thousands of exploration projects and hundreds of exploration companies. And you might wonder what was our conclusion. We actually realized that exploration happens backwards. We often start with a small mineral occurrence, and we're just trying to make it become bigger. It's a very hard way of doing exploration, and I think actually different in Equivest. We start with mineral systems. We map processes that are important to formation of large deposits. It is a guide that takes us to the next places where the Tier 1 potential deposits can be hiding. As geologists are incredible pattern recognizers, but working across 10, 20, 30 layers of data, it's quite challenging with our eyes, especially if we're doing it on the regional scale and across large data sets. AI can actually supercharge our abilities and is designed to do exactly that. Let me give you one example. Imagine that you start working in the new area and you come across a geological map that has a small rock formation that is really important to your exploration project. And you would like to know where it occurs over a large regional area, let's say millions of kilometers square. At the moment, we normally go into the field and start mapping that formation. But the tools exist that we can extract a spectral signal of that formation and map it over large regional areas. We were not able to do that until just a few years ago. In Equivest, we use mineral systems as a tool to ask critical questions about geology. And data and AI helps us to answer those questions much faster, with more accuracy and less of the gut feeling. We build the processes and platform to help us to extract more insights from the data and supercharge our geologists. BHP Xplor has been an incredible journey, and it brought a community of both internal experts and cohort companies that are pushing the boundaries of exploration together. As part of the BHP Xplor, we have done large study in Southern Africa region for sedimentary copper prospects. And we had very short time. You heard the Xplor was just 6 months, and the region was large, almost 2 million kilometers square. And you might wonder how we actually went about that in such a short time. We, of course, started with mineral systems. We looked for evidence of processes in this region that would lead to the formation of large deposits, We mapped them into over 50 layers. The layers were produced both by our geologists, but also by AI algorithms. And we also have products where two had to come together and work together to actually get more insights. What is very exciting is the majority of large deposits in this region occur with a top 5% of our prospective areas. And there are many still untested hotspots both over the cover and under the cover in this region. In Equivest, we believe that your next drilling program or acreage acquisition should start with a robust prospectivity model. And we are here to help you with that process to do it better and faster and help both geologists, investors, and companies to achieve success in exploration. Here are my contact details. Please reach out to us. Come chat to me after the booth or to our CTO, Arlan, that is probably super excited to talk a bit about data and AI as well. And you can chat to me also about mineral system. Super excited to work with you and see what we can do about exploration in the next years. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joanna. We knew when Joanna and Erland joined Xplor that they had something special. Over the last 6 months, it's been incredible to see them scale their business, fine-tune their strategy, and build their tools, and we're super excited to see what happens next. And finally, it is a pleasure to introduce you all to Adam Wooldridge, CEO of Cobre. Welcome to the stage, Adam.
Where do we find the copper deposits of tomorrow? These deposits have long been discovered. Now we need to turn our attention to those difficult, unstable jurisdictions we've traditionally avoided, or we have to get better at looking undercover. We opted to look undercover, but in particular, we opted to look in a jurisdiction that's highly regarded as being one of the best globally for mining investment, and that's in Botswana. For the Canadian explorers in the room, it may interest you to see Botswana on par to several Canadian provinces in terms of investability, as well as being on top of the Fraser Index in Africa. I'm Adam Wooldridge, CEO of Cobre Limited. Over the last 7 years, I've had the pleasure and the privilege of leading an exploration team that's been able to put together a belt-scale exploration opportunity in the Kalahari Copper Belt. To give you an idea of where we're working, this photograph from our Ngami camp really highlights the scale and the space of this African landscape. It also gives you an idea of the cover that we have to work through. Now, when we started pegging ground and exploring in the Kalahari Copper Belt, it was always regarded as having promising exploration potential. It's long been a favorite of the USGS. But it's really been in the last 2 years that we've seen the belt change into a producing copper district. Now we have both MMG and Sandfire resources in production. And this has made our land package hugely strategic. We're the second largest landholder in the belt. Now, despite its status as being a copper producer, the belt still has questions on whether it can deliver a Tier 1 deposit. A Tier 1 deposit of the sort that a major would be interested in, like BHP. Over the next few slides, I'm going to show you where we believe those opportunities can occur and how Cobre is positioned to capture them. This is an illustration of the discovery history in the belt. There's 3 key take-homes from this slide. The first one is there's lots of copper in the belt. We've got over 7 million tons in resource category now. The second key take-home is all of these, or the majority of these, are in areas of relatively thin cover. If you look at the area where the cover is greater than 40 meters, and this accounts for more than 40% of the belt, it's hugely underrepresented. There's a huge exploration opportunity here. The last feature, or the third point, and a key one, and something so common to areas of cover is the fact that with each introduction of new technology, we see new discoveries. And the reason for that is each new technology results in better resolution of the underlying geology, better understanding of it, and better targeting. Now, if you want to resolve underlying geology, what better tool than seismics? Thanks to the funding from Xplor and the support we've had from BHP, we are pleased to be pioneering both active and passive seismics in the belt. Seismics is the holy grail of geophysics. And these photos are literally from this morning. We started surveying today, which is an enormous opportunity. You know, if you look at seismics, it's typically used by majors at development stages. We're an exploration junior. To be applying this technology here is a huge opportunity. And where we see this opportunity is actually resolving the kind of trap sites where we would expect larger tier 1 deposits. Let me show you this in a bit more detail in the following slides. Here's a map of the Kalahari Copper Belt in northwestern Botswana. There's one key take-home from the map. If you look at the green dots, which are the known discoveries, you'll see that they all cluster around areas of thin cover. That's the hatched area. We're not finding deposits in the most prospective areas. We're finding them where it was easiest to explore. This firstly leaves a huge opportunity for further exploration undercover. But most importantly, if you were looking at a sedimentary basin and looking for copper, you wouldn't look in the middle of the basin. You'd turn your attention to the margins. The basin margins are where you get the best fluid flow and the best trap sites developed. Now, Cobra have a land position where we've taken a dominant position on both northern and southern margins of the Kalahari Copper Belt. We also see an additional opportunity in targeting these fold closures where the fold's actually still preserved. Now, if you cast your eye across the belt, you'll see that in most of the belt, the folds are eroded away, and you're only looking at the limb features. And that's where you're getting your deposits, most of the deposits in the belt that we know of at the moment. If you can find the fold closures, you could see areas where the mineralization's upgraded and the larger deposits could occur. Those elusive tier 1 deposits, for example. This is why we've moved to seismics. A last and important point is we're already having exploration success in the Kalahari Copper Belt. We've had a number of excellent intersections at our Ngami project. Firstly, proving that the northern margin of the belt is well endowed with copper, but also it's a testament to our exploration team and the fantastic work they're doing, exploring through cover and having success. Cobra are uniquely positioned in the belt to make new discoveries. I'd like to finish off with a few words on our Xplor journey. You know, this has been a fantastic opportunity. The last 6 months has been incredible. It's really given us the freedom to reassess the belt without the sort of market pressures that you get as a junior. It's also given us systems. BHP's mineral systems, for example, has allowed us to assess the belt at a basin scale, at a district scale, all the way down to a prospect scale. And this gives you confidence in your exploration programs. It gives you confidence in where you're spending your money. Lastly, our strategy has changed. We're no longer just looking for short-term windfalls. We're starting to look with a longer time horizon. We're looking to do sustainable exploration, the kind of exploration that finds tier 1 deposits. Cobra are uniquely positioned in the basin to make the new discoveries, and we're confident we can deliver them. Our ASX ticker, CBE, we'd like you to join us on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam, and to you and Thomas. We're excited to see how your new ideas can continue to transform exploration in Botswana. You've definitely stretched our minds on what could be possible in the Kalahari and beyond, and we're really looking forward to seeing the results of the seismic acquisition. To all of the teams, the Select Six, we're extremely proud of what we've accomplished this year together. In our second year, the Xplor program has definitely gotten better because of each one of you and your contributions, and we truly thank you for that. And now for the grand finale. We're going to have a panel discussion on the global search for critical minerals. And facilitating today's panel is BHP's own Marley Palin, Head of Exploration's Portfolio and Performance Team. So please join me in welcoming Marley and our 4 panelists to the stage.
Cool. Favorite mineral or rock?
Oh, it's got to be...
My favourite rock is Kamariite.
Malachite.
Mine is specialty Bornite.
Covalite is just this beautiful copper mineral. Chalcopyrite, just a good old-fashioned copper mineral.
I like all minerals.
Malachite. It's got to be malachite.
I'm going to make my tombstone out of orbicular granite. I'm going to put the date on too.
I think from Miss Gambara.
Organic rich shale.
Well, last time this is cool.
No, organic rich shale.
Guys, not me. Oh, it's hard to see you now. I feel like I'm going to topple off this. Hello, it is so exciting to be here celebrating the end of the 2024 BHP Xplor program. Nick, one of our panelists who I'll introduce in a second, actually came and spoke to our Xplor cohort at the end of this week, and in the end of his presentation, he said, if we want to transform the way we power this planet, then it's a metals story. And so today we're going to spend the next little while unpacking that metals story and the role that we all play in it. So who am I joined with this morning? We've got Nick Pickens, the Research Director for Global Mining at Wood Mackenzie, our very own Sonia Scarselli, VP Xplor and Exploration at BHP, Samir Kasim, the Director of Policy, Sustainable Research Development for Canada's Minister of Energy and Natural Resources. Try saying that fast 5 times. And Fabian Baker, the Managing Director of Kings Rose Mining and one of the graduates of the 2023 BHP Xplor program. So Nick, I might go to you first if you can give us a little bit of a rundown of the state of play for critical minerals. What are some of the challenges that we are seeing at the moment?
Yep, sure. Look, I think let's start by thinking about the opportunity. The demand side of the equation, requirement for metals, is really a very compelling one. The world has set itself a target. It did so at the Paris COP agreements back in 2015 now to reach net zero by 2050. And whether you agree whether that target's going to be reached or not, it's clear that the world needs to decarbonize. And so we as a team, we believe that the global economy is going to grow by, it's going to double in the next 25 years to 2050. And more importantly for metals, we think that power demand is going to double over the next 25 years. And that's not thermal power, it's an electrification process. It's metals intensive, low carbon power generation and electric mobility that is going to require more metals. And so that means that even in mature markets like copper, for example, we expect the copper market to double over that time period. And in more nascent markets, those future-facing metals that are going to be used in batteries, the lithium market, we expect to grow by 6 or 7 times. So, it's a really compelling view from a demand point of view. Now, I think you asked me about the challenges, and really, the challenges do reside, we feel, on the supply side. And I think 3 things come to mind. The first one, and arguably the most difficult to get over, is societal buy-in. I think the mining industry, to some extent, has a bit of an image problem.
Needs a bit of a reputation rehab. Yeah.
So it's seen, I think, by many still as part of the problem rather than part of the solution. And that has an issue in terms of social buy-in to, or social, the ability to bring on new projects in communities and so on, but also in terms of getting the right people. So we've got a growing market here, but less and less students signing into new to universities and training and so on. So I think there's a down the line potential leadership issues and bottlenecks. The second challenge, I think, is around government. And I think There we see around policy and the ability to make a capital allocation decision around decarbonising in a fast way or to spend capital on the solution, which is metals investment. And the final piece, and I'll let you ask another question. The final piece escapes me.
That's right, because I think you opened up the government piece quite nicely. Samir, I'll go to you. Nick's painted the challenge. Talk us through, I guess, what the government's point of view is on what the role that they play and some of the work that's happening with the critical minerals strategy.
For sure, thank you. And I certainly would agree that government can be a challenge, and I deal with that every single day in Ottawa. But I think the challenge is certainly also an opportunity. And our critical mineral strategy, I think, is certainly a significant step forward. And I know usually when you hear someone from government saying that we've got this brand new strategy, you kind of roll your eyes because everyone always has a strategy. But this one's actually real. It's backed by close to $4 billion, and we are looking to support every step of the way in terms of the mining cycle. We've got funding for junior stage and early exploration companies. We've got funding for critical minerals infrastructure, both in terms of enabling things like roads and highways and bridges to actually get access to the deposits, but also to help with the clean energy deployment in those empowering the operations needed. We have things that we're trying to do in terms of mineral exploration tax credit, a critical minerals exploration tax credit for the subset, but then also the investment tax credits that come down the road when you're trying to make actually those major CapEx decisions and when you're reaching closer to an FID decision. I think there's also other areas where there are challenges, and certainly that comes on the regulatory and permitting side. Certainly when we're trying to build mines quicker to prosecute the energy transition, you can't take 10, 15 years to get these mines up and running. And so more recently, we've introduced a regulatory action plan that will try to create efficiencies within the system. It's not going to necessarily, remove the robustness of our environmental and regulatory system. I think that's a point of pride for Canada and for the government of Canada, but certainly there are areas where we can do things quicker. We've put in place now a target of 5 years for both the permitting and the regulatory approval process, and we're going to try to get that done. We've also put in place a federal permit coordinator. I think a number of the challenges I hear is that there are about 10 to 12 government departments and agencies that are all involved in the regulatory process in Ottawa. Sometimes they're all asking for the same things at different times in the process, and sometimes they're waiting on one department to finish their application and permit and before they start theirs. So surely we can do something better around asking for information once from a company, and we can do some of these things at the same time, whether it be the Department of Fisheries and Oceans and the Fisheries Act authorizations, or permits from Environment Canada around species at risk, or mining effluent regulations. So we're trying to find efficiencies there. We're also trying to work with our provinces and territories to find ways to substitute some of the regulatory processes that they have if they meet the federal standards, so that you only have to go through one project, one permit, or one review. I would say, certainly capital you mentioned as a challenge, and I know in some regards, government might also complicate that particularly. Not only do our programs be rigid in terms of niche applications or niche initiatives that we can fund, but certainly as we're talking about global capital, I think it would come as no surprise to anyone that the government of Canada is looking very closely at where capital is coming from in this country. Certainly we are taking strong and aggressive moves against letting capital come in from countries that, let's say, on our Christmas card list. And we recognize that that is certainly going to require stepping in and filling the gap. Government can't do it alone, and certainly we need help from private financial markets, but there are some additional tools that we have, whether it be through export credit agencies or other organizations in the federal family that we can kind of step in. So those are all conversations we're trying to have as we move forward. If we're going to say no to capital, how do we fill it in?
Yeah, awesome. And so I guess if we're looking at big end of town, Fabian, I might go to you in terms of small end of town in the junior space. And a number of our Xplor cohort companies touched on it in their presentations, but it's not exactly a market at the moment that is supportive of early stage exploration work. What's the junior lay of the land?
Yeah, obviously funding is critical to what we do. And you'll hear quite often people saying there's just not enough investment in early stage exploration, which is true, although I will challenge it or at least say it's a bit more nuanced than that. Last year, apparently about $12 billion was invested globally in exploration. Depending on the research you read, apparently it costs about 300 to 600 million to make a tier 1 mineral discovery. Now, most of those $12 billion will be spent on brownfield, near mine exploration, or more advanced projects. But the fact that we're only making one tier 1 discovery every 2 or 3 years tells us there's an issue with where that capital is being spent and perhaps where it's coming from. And so why is that? And so I look at this as exploration being an ecosystem where 2 key parties are the explorer and the financier. And so I think it's more a question of, are they aligned, and what are the expectations that come with that investment? And unfortunately, we've evolved a system over the last couple of decades that isn't really fit for purpose for the realities of exploration. Exploration takes time. It takes diverse teams with multiple skill sets, and it requires testing lots of ideas, many of which will fail. And that's just the reality of exploration. So that process can't be shortcut, and it needs to be embraced. In fact, no is a good answer. If you test an idea and the answer is no, great, you've learned something about that concept, you can move on and focus on a better one, and ultimately get closer to a discovery. So what we need are investors that are aligned with that and support good exploration behaviors. And unfortunately, that pool of investor has been dwindling over recent times. It's quite hard to find groups that have the experience to understand those realities of exploration, even to be able to keep an eye on it and monitor it. It's incredibly technical. How do you determine good versus bad progress? And very few have time and risk tolerance that's needed to see it through to success. So what we've been left with is a capital market that's dominated by less sophisticated investors with a shorter investment time frame, looking for immediate catalysts. So that breeds the wrong exploration behaviors, taking on known mineral deposits, playing it safe with your exploration, and ultimately that doesn't lead to new discoveries. So a little long-winded, but that's the funding challenge. And then the explorers themselves, I'm afraid, also have to answer for their behaviors. And there is a junior industry that's built up that just exasperates that issue. And what it's doing is it's diverting good exploration dollars onto the wrong projects. Ultimately, there's failed exploration, new discoveries aren't made, and actually those investors that lose money are then deterred from investing in the sector. So it's a downward spiral, and it's not been doing us any favors. So that's the bad news. I think the good news is that people are recognizing that the criticality of minerals for new green energy solutions and just for the standard of living that we enjoy and we want other communities and countries to rise into requires lots of minerals. So governments are stepping in. There's a number of new critical raw materials acts that are being implemented, and that's really helpful. And the majors are also realizing that the exploration cupboards are bare, and it's time to step in and start exploring. So that's one of the key challenges, and I think programs like Xplor are finally a perfect example of alignment between a financier and explorers that tick all the boxes and actually align commercial goals towards good exploration.
Yeah, so speaking of the bare cupboards, to use your analogy, and you've started touching on Xplor, but Sonia, Fabian's painted a bit of a dire picture of the industry. Xplor was really clear that we wanted to be one of the players doing things differently, doing things innovatively. Talk to us about how the Xplor program is trying to tackle some of those challenges and some of the intentional choices that you and the team have made in setting up the program.
Directly follow up from what Fabian just said, because one of the key intent of Xplor was really to fill in the gap in the market, to really fill in the niche we found where the investment system was broken. We always call this within the Xplor team the treadmill of exploration, where the behavior drive, the investment drive the behavior for juniors to just do the very short-term exploration to find enough evidence to raise the capital for the next 6 months, rather than really focusing on the overall exploration program. So when we thought about the Xplor program, it wasn't just creating an accelerator program to support them and finance them, but was the intention to give them the space to take their idea, their concept, that they would not be raising capital on the market for all the reasons that Fabian just talked about, and giving them the space to actually develop those ideas and concepts. Because as a mining company with an exploration leg, we do know that it takes time to do exploration. We do know that we need to focus on the right element of critical system, and we do know there are going to be failure along the way. And so we wanted to remove all their worries to them through a program like Xplor, which goes beyond the 6 months. It's not just the 6 months in the program, it's also the relationship that we keep building going forward. Then I think the other big piece of that I wanted to add to Fabian, there has been a lot of emphasis from a government point of view on how we change the support of the mining industry. There's definitely a very positive trend from numerous jurisdictions. What I haven't seen the same way is the conversation with the investment community, how they're going to change their way they're investing. So that hasn't been catching up with the demand, hasn't been catching up with the requirement from energy transition or the net zero by 2050. The two worlds are still not communicating. And lastly, what I think is you call it the bar and cupboard, but it's the major issue we're having right now. We can't just live and expect the junior to take all the risk of exploration to maybe one day finding something and buy it out from a major point of view. The majors have to step in and support them with a more of a long-term exploration. And to that, it's not just the investment. The challenges of exploration have increased because easy stuff is gone. We heard Adam say that before, is gone. So we either go deeper or we go to more challenging jurisdiction. And it's even both. And we have to work differently, we have to think differently, we have to build and bring in new technologies, and that's require investment, and it require time. And that's what I believe was the role of Xplor as it was created, to really provide that support and that presence.
So Nick, Xplor's one example of sort of one of those more innovative investment models. What are some of the other trends that you guys are seeing in the industry at the moment? Some of the kind of, change of shape of capital, some of the more newer investment models?
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly seeing some very positive signs in sort of changes of attitude towards exploration and again, the grassroots recognition that we need to invest more and to change the ways that we're exploring. We're seeing it from, I think, some of the major mining companies. Look, I think we can in some ways look at the oil and gas industry in the way that's behaved in the past. And in oil and gas, investors and major producers are very keen to go into partnerships and to work together to spread risk. I think we're starting to see that role of partnerships happening a little bit more now in the mining industry, which I think is positive. I think we're also seeing mining companies being a little bit bolder in terms of risk appetite. And certainly, Africa, everybody knows the mineral endowment in Africa. Just the one that springs to mind is sort of Ivanhoe's position in Angola, for example, taking huge areas of land and investing in those kind of jurisdictions. So, yeah, partnerships and bolder, bigger investments, I think, has been quite a significant change.
Yeah, perfect. And that note of partnerships, Samir, I might go to you. How do you think about partnerships? We use that word a lot. How does the government think about partnerships? Where do you see more opportunities for us to be forming, not just major to major, but also government, industry, junior, major partnerships?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think it starts with a conversation, an idea. And it starts with an openness to have that conversation without necessarily an end outcome thought of or any expectations. Certainly government struggles at times to think outside the box. I'm of the mind, let's throw the box out and just try to find new ways to do things. Not everyone always agrees in Ottawa, but I think it's an important way to start because you don't know what might be possible unless you actually are willing to have a conversation about it. For example, a company made its way to my office last week and they're heading towards closure of a mine. They've got all this infrastructure built up in an area that might not be able to be used in the next 5 years, and they approached us with a conversation saying, do we want to do something about this infrastructure and use it for the next company that might actually be producing a mine? It's innovative thinking like that, I think, which is super helpful. I think part of it also is government doesn't know what it doesn't know. We don't know the extent of the promising projects that are out there. We don't know all the juniors that actually have really great deposits in Canada. We have some sense of that. And I know sometimes it's hard to get meetings in Ottawa. It's hard to understand who to talk to. Certainly my office is always open for a conversation about it. We're always on the lookout for the next promising Voisey's Bay or the next promising Raglan deposit, right? And that's how we're going to be able to be successful in prosecuting an energy transition. Quite frankly, we're going to need a lot more mining. We're going to need a hell of a lot more of it. I think in our own Canadian domestic context, we're going to need about 15 new mines. We're going to need about 19 processing facilities if we're going to build out the midstream. All of that's going to need an order of magnitude of about $25 to $30 billion in capital expenditures. Government can't do it alone is the bad news, but I think the good news is that we have enough advanced projects in Canada to be able to actually do it if we can find the money. So certainly I think that's where programs like BHP Xplor is really a terrific example of it, because you're actually providing juniors with that opportunity to run with it, to provide the opportunity to explore, take risks, make mistakes, and see if it works. I'd love to see in the future, perhaps we can talk about a Canadian-specific stream of Xplor, or see more Canadian juniors be successful, and I think that would be a great opportunity. We're also looking at ways that industry and government can collaborate together with the investment community. I think that's certainly an area that's missing. Next week, we're about to have a conversation with federal and provincial, territorial mining ministers about how we can take our shared list of these are the most promising advanced projects. How can we take them together to combine our joint resources within our jurisdictions, but take it to the investment community to say, hey, these are the ones that we think are the most promising. Let's get some money behind them and let's see if we can actually make it work.
Yeah, BHP Xplor, the Canada edition. Heard it here first. Speaking of partnerships, Fabian, you announced a partnership with BHP not that long ago as a graduate of our 2023 cohort. Give us the lowdown on that journey back from kind of, early interviews to Xplor to now a partnership and the work that you and some of the team are doing.
Yeah, we're really excited about this partnership, this alliance that we announced just a few weeks ago with BHP, which is a result of the Xplor program. It was quite pretty big news for us, and one of those overnight successes that took at least 2 years in the making. But we saw the Xplor program when it first came about. Charlie was doing the rounds on some mining conferences and sharing this new innovative idea, and we grabbed hold of it and thought, well, we've got this fantastic opportunity that we've been struggling to find an investment model to fit it, and this sounds like it could suit it really well. So we put our hat in the ring, and as you've heard, that year they whittled it down from more than 250 applicants to the Magnificent Seven, which we were one of, and of course learned a huge amount, and I got the chance to be slightly terrified and stand up here a year ago doing my showcase pitch.
Fabian said to me earlier, I'm so glad it's not me this year.
Which today they were exceptional, I've got to say. And I'm really pleased. As has been alluded to in Sonia's introduction, this was clearly not something that was going to stop just at the 6 months of Xplor. It is about building a community and partnerships for the longer term. And so that conversation and that partnership for us and BHP has continued until the point where we announced a really industry-leading exploration alliance just a few weeks ago to explore in partnership with BHP large parts of Norway and Finland. And so we've gone from first of its kind accelerator program to industry-leading exploration alliance, which really is quite unique in the details of its terms, which I won't go into minute detail, but what it does is it sets up a real win-win outcome for both BHP and for us as we see it. It gives BHP the opportunity to work with a smaller, nimble team that's got the local knowledge to advance new exploration ideas and potentially find world-class assets. And it helps us de-risk our exploration ideas and create value for our stakeholders and communities along the way. And I think that's what's really unique about Xplor. Most interactions between two businesses are sort of underpinned by a competitiveness. And that's what was really stripped away from in the Xplor program. And it really was focusing on leveraging the best of both sides to find a meeting in the middle that can create a successful outcome for both companies. And so I think if there's one takeaway for the wider mining industry, is that it can be done like that. And I think it's certainly now positioned BHP, in my mind, as the partner of choice for junior explorers. And it's happening in real time. I've got great explorers in my network coming to me saying, hey, how do I get in touch with BHP to talk about our idea? So,
applications open late August.
So yeah, partnership, I think, and that collaborative approach has been really fundamental to underpinning the success of Xplor.
And we're so happy to have Kingsrose in our portfolio and to keep building on that partnership. I want to switch gears a little bit now to how we accelerate moving forward. And one of the big narratives that I think we heard in today's presentations was data, big data, AI, ML. Sonia, talk to me about what are some of the cool things that we're seeing happening in the AI machine learning space in exploration.
Definitely, there are many examples that I will share, but it starts with our approach to exploration. It goes back to the mineral system, and it goes back, actually, Joanna made the comment earlier in her speech, traditional exploration, we start from the small, and where we expand, hoping it gets bigger. That's really not the best way, because it's like finding a needle in a haystack. So you really want to start with the processes and the concept on how you actually build the best chances to develop a mineral system on a specific location. And that's really what the mineral system helps us. Now, with that frame of reference, we add on top of them to be predictive. How we can predict where the mineral system is, and how we can predict by using all the tools that exist out there. I'm not talking about just hard work, but there are tools like generative AI, machine learning, AI. They might be new to us, but they are not new to many other industries. So how we can bridge that gap of knowledge and capabilities and bring in those tools in the industry. And I want to just open a parenthesis. I come from oil and gas, and I would say the industry, oil and gas, was forced to become more predictive because the cost of a well was 150 million per well, and you really don't want to drill many dry holes. It doesn't look good. And so they really had to force themselves to be more predictive and have models to really increase their chance of successes, which they did. We're looking at an average of 25% in the industry. I think mining is at the cusp to starting that, and I want that BHP is at the forefront of that. Right now, it's still a 1% success rate. We can do better. And we will do better by actually bringing our very strong technical understanding from a geoscience point of view with new technologies. We do have the data are there, and also where we don't have the data, we can be predictive on what we can find. Now, a couple of examples. We have started a couple of activities and projects within exploration. So we have piloted the first generative AI pilot with AWS. The first pilot was using external data. The second it was very successful outcome. The second pilot is looking at our internal data set or part of it. What's the beauty of that? Is that we basically provided the question that we needed the GenAI tool to answer, investigate through the data and do that for us. Now, instead of having one of my geoscientists to spend the next 2 years on reading papers, I can get an output in a few seconds.
So it's ChatGPT for our geoscience data sets.
And that is massive, because I still want our geoscientists to be creative, to bring their ideas, their talent. I don't want them to sieve through all the data. So that is massive, and more to come. We are still at the early stages to better understanding the technology, and now we're going to use it. In parallel, we're also doing other projects that focus more on AI and predictive capability of machine learning, on how we can actually predict in region where we don't have the data, but where we are putting an understanding of geology, regional geology, and more of our modeling part. So that's as well is happening, because we want to have, from a global point of view, the world is big. We can't do exploration everywhere. So we really, even for a company like BHP, we really need to be focused and know where are the areas that have the highest chance of success. So the other tool we are developing is looking into that. It definitely is early stage for the industry, but I can see that it's going to pick up very quickly.
Super exciting. So for us to be able to look forward and start playing with a lot of the new emerging technologies that we're seeing, we need a workforce ready to do that. And I think Nick started touching on some of the challenges from a talent perspective, but Samira, it would be good to hear from you. There's a talent challenge in mining, in geology. What are some of the things that government's doing to help us try to build back that workforce and build a really cross-disciplinary workforce to solve some of these big problems?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I think it's an immense challenge. I mean, I threw out some stats earlier there about mining in terms of the amount of mines we need, but the same challenge is there for the workers. We need about, I think by 2030, we'll probably need a workforce in the mining sector of around 120,000 new workers, and they're not going to come from anywhere unless we actually make the incentives and the conditions to actually enable their participation in the workforce. That certainly begins, an early stage in terms of attracting more youth and young people to the STEM fields to actually help them understand the importance of science, technology, engineering, and math. But I think it also enables, it's also a question of government doing things at a high level that can actually enable broader female participation and participation by diverse and indigenous communities into the workforce. Certainly something that we've done in Ottawa is move forward with a national early learning and childcare system so that we can bring down costs of childcare in all the provinces and territories to an average of $10 a day by 2025 or 2026. Certainly that will help make a significant impact in terms of making the choice to return to your career after starting your own family a lot easier, and financial affordability isn't necessarily a challenge then if you actually are having childcare at affordable rates. Particularly also around flexibility on paternity leave, so that it doesn't always have to be the mother or one parent that's always taking the paternity leave, so that they can actually return back to their careers after they decide to start a family. There are other things that we're doing on the international front. Certainly, under the auspices of the International Energy Agency, Canada's led the way on an Equal by 30 initiative. Many countries around the world have signed on. Some subnational jurisdictions here in Canada have signed on, and it's all about equal leadership, equal opportunity, and equal pay by 2030 in all sectors. Another challenge, though, is that, as I said earlier, government doesn't know what it doesn't know, and we need to work better together to understand some of the challenges that companies are facing in attracting workers. Certainly not everyone in Ottawa understands the nuances of the mining sector, and that if it's a fly-in, fly-out operation versus an operation closer to established communities, that those face different challenges in attracting workers. There's also the question of whether or not communities are ready and have the infrastructure to actually support the influx of workers that mining operations will have. We have a number of programs in Ottawa that Employment and Social Development Canada has, but certainly those are broad strokes, and they're kind of seek to apply a generic brush to all sectors. I think certainly we need to have something that's more specific to the mining sector, and we're certainly open to having a conversation about that. But then if you take a step back and look at it from the North American context, we have this Energy Transformation Task Force with the United States. It's led out of the White House and out of the Deputy Prime Minister's office here in Canada. Part of the conversation there is certainly around critical minerals, certainly around accelerating project development, but also about establishing a workforce that will actually be able to meet our needs. Whether it's something around certifications and making sure that certification in North America is a lot easier to be compatible, or whether or not increasing labor mobility. I think these are some of the things that we're trying to work on.
Yeah, perfect. Sonia, he touched on sort of workforce diversity and gender diversity. That's something that we live and breathe in Xplor. In fact, our business coach is male and he's the minority in the team. Talk to me about the journey for you in building such a diverse team and the role that diversity plays in this team.
It really starts with allowing people to develop and grow in their role. And that is not just the journey of Xplor. This is a journey that reflects on my career and a lot of my peers, especially female in a resource industry. I put oil and gas with that as well. It's really taking the chance to give people the opportunity to do something that they might have not done before, and they don't have all the answer. They don't have the 80%, they probably have the 40%, and give them the tools and the support that they can grow and roll. It is the conversation that needs to happen, and often, and unfortunately the industry is not mature yet, often you see female, they are left behind because there is always the discussion of they haven't done everything, they don't know everything, they haven't developed all these skills, so they can't move to the next role, and there is never the conversation of, actually the next role is the role to develop them. So Xplor it started with, let's be honest, none of us know what an accelerator was, so we were all developing. And so we all took a risk on developing the accelerator. We learned a lot. We've been very proud of what we have achieved, and we've been successful. We also trust each other, and we took a risk. And I think that is one of the biggest things that need to happen to promote diversity today. Now, I look at Xplor, but I'm equally proud of exploration. In exploration, we have a 48% female representation, and that is massive. And 44% is the leadership table. So that is way above the energy industry, and definitely I'm not done there. I want to see even more female representation. But then it goes back to supporting, coaching, developing, mentoring. You have to build the infrastructure, so then you can increase your diversity. And I'm just going to close with that on the role of diversity. The challenge we're having to face on the industry from a supply point of view for the energy transition, it is a massive challenge. So it is actually going to happen only if we are bringing the diversity of thinking to the table. Otherwise, we're going to do the same things the same way, hoping for a different result.
I'm getting side eyes from this year's Xplor cohort because I've been promising them a beer and a glass of wine since Sunday morning. Before we close up, I have one last question for you all. I can't let you go without it. What's your favorite rock? Nick?
Goodness, okay. Well, I'm going to have to go back to my student days here. So I did my undergraduate mapping projects on a shear zone in the Pyrenees in Spain. And the rock type that defines that kind of environment is a rock called a myelinite. And it's
I'm
got
nodding
nice,
like I know what that is.
Yeah. No, it's got loads of nice fabric. But part of the reason I like that rock as well is because it's a punchline to my favorite geology joke, which is, how fast does a shear zone move? Of course, the answer is a myelinite. There we go.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Sonia, what's your favorite rock?
So I've been told not to use my preferred mineral, which is diamond, so Niall, thank you. I'm going to choose a rock, so I'm just going to say Gabbros because I like the color. It's very nice and shiny.
I feel like it's a bit of a trap question for government, and so I feel like I have to say I love all 34 of Canada's critical minerals equally. No, but I mean, I'm even wearing my critical mineral socks. But I would, if I were to choose one, and the geologists in the room might debate whether it's a rock or not, I'm going to choose copper.
Fabian?
Mine is a specific rock that started my career, and it was driving down a road in Armenia, of all places. We didn't have any gear with us. We were waiting to meet the rest of our team, but we saw something interesting and used the tire iron to smack a little bit of rock off something on the side of the road. That turned out to have some gold in it, and we discovered 5 million ounces of gold, and it's going to be producing gold later next year, so that's my favorite rock.
Okay, well, a big round of applause for our panelists, and I'll hand over to Sonia to wrap up.
I will not keep you from the beer and the wine, I promise. So thanks all to everyone for joining us today to celebrate the conclusion of Xplor 2024. Thanks to our 6 cohort companies for coming on stage and talking about their incredible opportunities. And thanks a lot to the panelists that they came and shared their thoughts with us. So we're going to have a very nice networking event with drinks and food. Please stay, go and see the booth of our 6 companies, and come and talk to us, ask any question. Thank you so much again.